My name is Limmy and I'm a TikToker who's read a couple thousand college applications on TikTok. Here's a collection of the craziest ones that I've read so far. This is the dumbest college application I've ever seen. This kid's father, mother, grandmother, uncle, aunt, sister, brother, and great-grandfather all attended Yale. You would expect someone of that academic lineage to have academic prowess themselves. But this kid had a 2.1 GPA and a 910 SAT score. He was ranked 230 out of 239 students. At least he wasn't last. Now these college results are probably gonna blow your mind more than anything else, but I'm going to read you his college essay so that we can judge it together first. Throughout middle school, I was always the last picked for any team, and I never really cared for it. But when high school came around, I decided to try something new and I joined the JV bowling team. It was a disaster. I was the worst on the team by far. I couldn't even consistently hit a single pin, let alone a strike. But even though I was terrible, I loved being part of the team. Everyone was friendly and welcoming, and I felt like I belonged. Despite my lack of skill, I decided to walk onto the varsity team the next year. I did not do any training over the summer, and I wasn't really sure why I even bothered trying out. To my surprise, I somehow became insanely good suddenly. I started training every day, watching videos of professional bowlers and practicing until my arms were sore. But it was not easy. There were times when I felt like giving up. I remember my coach telling me that he had given up on me, that I wasn't cut out for varsity bowling. Hearing those words were crushing, but it only made me more determined to prove him wrong. The next few months were grueling. I pushed myself harder than I had ever had before. I spent hours at the bowling alley working on my technique and trying to improve my game. And slowly but surely, I started to get better. I wasn't the best on the team, but I was no longer the worst. Then came the state championship in 2021. I was nervous, but I felt ready. I had put in so much hard work and I knew I could do it. And I did. I bowled my heart out, hitting strike after strike. When it was all over, I had won the state champion individually. Looking back on it now, I realized that I never could have done it without the support of my teammates and my coach. They believed in me even when I didn't believe in myself. And I'm grateful for that. Winning the state championship was an incredible feeling, but the journey to get there was even more rewarding. I learned that with hard work and determination, anything is possible. So I'm just gonna go out on a limb here and say that that was probably the most cliche essay I've ever read in my life. That got him rejected from every single university that he applied to. Except for Yale and SUNY Purchase, where he was accepted to and committed. Now I'm not gonna lie and say that I don't have my ideas on how he got into Yale, but there's merit in being judicial about what you say. So we're just gonna leave it at that. And I am wondering what his family had to say about him getting into Yale and not going and choosing to go to SUNY Purchase instead. But hey, listen, it's your life. You make the calls. And this is a lesson for all of you out there as well. Don't let anybody tell you what to do, because it's your life. So don't let them control your life, like this guy. This is what an insane international Indian student's college application looks like. You're gonna be amazed at what universities this kid got into. She had a 3.9 GPA and was ranked 1 out of 347 in her school. She is the founder of an augmented reality startup, founder of an AI research organization, CTO of a metaverse startup valued at $300,000, author of a 500-page book on the simulation hypothesis and theories, intern at Microsoft, researched AI and graphics, partnered a Tesla engineer to design a solar car with high efficiency. She found and reported 3 asteroids that were named after her. Are you serious? And she interned at Mindler, where she created marketing plans for Puma and got a 50% scholarship to partner universities. And lastly, she's the executive director at a neuroscience research org as well. And by the way, this student is low income. She did not have access to the same resources that the privileged have, and she still did this. Here's a snippet from her Stanford essay. Build and govern universes. Spellbound by the artistry of painting my imagination in an alive space, I sought my peace in handcrafting board games. The art that gave me the heartfelt omnipotence, being the generator, operator, and destroyer, the God of my own world, which isn't dead, but evolved into the democratized virtual augmentation, the metaverse. Drumroll, here are the universities that the student applied to. He was rejected to all of them except for Foothill. No Stanford, no Harvard, no Caltech, no Yale, no Penn, no Columbia, no Ivy League, not even a top 40 university. The explanation as to why coming in part 2, so make sure to follow. Kid from the previous video had asteroids named after him, but he still got rejected from all of the Ivy Leagues and the top universities that he applied to. Here is his story.
The place where I come from, studying abroad is not that common. I'm from a city named Surat in Gujarat, which is the western part of India. No peers helping me out. No one had any experience. I was involved with my startup that I'm working on right now. I'm building an AI tech company which is working on an operating system that works on lingual computing, which is natural language. So you have an OS set up like Windows or Mac, and it works completely on natural language, so that it removes all the barrier for the people who are not familiar with technology, and they can use computers with their own local languages and all. The second thing I was in, that I was the head of technology at startup. It was my friend's startup. So we did Web3 infrastructure over there. So we partnered with brands and we built Web3 software for them. So we had pretty crazy names. We got Starbucks India, first our client. One of our co-founders had many connections. He was in the news when he was in 8th grade. His first startup was in 8th grade. And by that, he had so many connections with the VCs and all the investors and all of that. So we took off pretty early with that startup. So we got Starbucks India, we got Larsen and Toubro, which is like a construction company, and L&T. And by this, I got to be the initial designers of the only Starbucks Reserve in India. There are Starbucks Reserve stores, right? There are only 6 or 7 Starbucks Reserve stores in the entire world. And one was being built in Mumbai, India. And I got to help in the design and got to see. And when we had the meeting with the Starbucks guys, and personally, I've never went to a Starbucks.
In other words, it wasn't even his fault. Of course, it's difficult for an international Indian student to have the right resources to know how to apply to a US university properly. Nevertheless, as you can see, this student is insanely motivated, incredibly humble, and incredibly talented. I have no doubts whatsoever that this student, now that he knows what's important and how to go through CSS and FAFSA to get his aid properly, is gonna get into at least one of the top universities, but we're just gonna have to see. I will update you in March. Here's what a UK student's college application looks like. This kid basically had perfect GCSEs. He was raised by a single dad and has 4 brothers, of which 2 are studying at Harvard. As for some of the awards that he won the Senior Math Challenge Award twice. Oh my god, I just spit all over my computer. Won the Mathematical Olympiad twice as well. Completed the Gold Duke of Edinburgh. Won the U14 Chess Championship. I feel like a lot of you British folks love to play chess. Played football professionally for 3 years and had a black belt in karate. As for his activities, he was head boy at school. That was a terrible UK accent. Learned how to speak 4 languages and practiced karate from the age of 11. Here are the universities that he applied to. Now, my gut intuition is that if you have GCSEs like that, then you're basically a shoo-in at every British university. But he was waitlisted, then rejected from Oxford. He was rejected from Harvard as well. Waitlisted, then accepted to Yale. Rejected from Stanford. Accepted to California, which I'm gonna guess is either Berkeley or, I don't know. Accepted to Columbia, and accepted to London School of Economics, where he is currently committed to. Pretty good, ain't it? This college applicant definitely had some rich parents that helped him out a little bit. So first of all, this student founded a small business that generates tens of thousands of dollars in revenue per year with a 200K valuation. Not to mention, he's also close personal friends with many Fortune 500 CEOs. That he referenced in his essays. He stated experiences such as interviews with the Musk family, and many more entrepreneurs that he is not at the liberty to release. In addition, he did charity work in Africa, and is also a world traveler, spanning the globe over 50 countries and all 7 continents. He had a 4.5 weighted GPA, which is pretty good. He's an upper-class white male. He only applied to 4 schools: Texas A&M, UT, Texas Tech, and Baylor. Now, given that he probably wrote about some interesting experiences with these Fortune 500 CEOs in his essays, I'm probably gonna assume that he got into all 4 of these universities. Let's find out which universities he got into in part 2. I guess connections aren't everything, because a student from the previous video actually got rejected from UT Austin. Maybe having fancy internships and writing about talking to the Musk family in your essays isn't gonna cut it. But to be fair, this student did get accepted to the other 3 schools that he applied to, so congrats to him. If you want to get early access to a tool that helps you improve your college application, go to the link in my bio. Sign up for Dream School. Go do it. This is what an average college application in America looks like. Starting with these statistics, the student had a 3.7 GPA and an 1110 SAT score. She was ranked 84th out of 500 kids in her school. The student intends to major in sports media, was on the honor roll, and was also part of National Honor Society. The student played varsity golf, was the varsity football social media manager, was part of his school's TV station, and participated in a history club and social media club. As for the universities that the student got accepted to and rejected from, here is the full list. The student got accepted to schools like Alabama, Butler, and Marquette. If I had to guess, the student's grades and his extracurriculars were not sufficient enough for schools like Notre Dame or Villanova, perhaps. But overall, I'm very proud of this student. The student applied to a great mix of universities he was clearly passionate about, and in the end, he came out victorious. He's committed to Butler University. Application deadlines are coming up very soon, so I'm wishing you all the best of luck. This is the most college application I've ever seen in my life. I'm gonna try to guess which universities she got into. This student is the co-founder of a company worth over $50 million today, which means that say she has around 30% of the equity in her company, that would mean that her net worth is $15 million as an 18-year-old. Oh my god. Not only that, but she's also a founder of a clothing and accessories line. She also did an internship at a global trade show conference for companies like the Wall Street Journal and Robinhood. She also, did film and theater for 13 years and has a CTE in both film and business management. To be fair, her stats aren't the best. She has a 3.0 unweighted GPA and she only took one AP course. Here are the universities that she applied to. I'm not even gonna lie, I'd be amazed if she didn't get into NYU. Listen, NYU, if a kid builds a $50 million company as a high schooler, which is something that most people will never even do in their lifetime, you accept the kid. But also, judging by the fact that she has other schools on this list, I'm gonna guess that she actually didn't get in. Maybe she got deferred. But I'm still gonna guess that she got into Fordham, SDSU, and UMiami. I'm also gonna guess that she got into Emerson, Tulane, and Syracuse. I'm also gonna guess that she got into George Washington, Drexel, and I'm gonna say she got rejected from Northeastern, cause why not? We're gonna find out which school she actually got into in part 2, so make sure to follow. These college decisions make absolutely no sense whatsoever. The student from the previous video did in fact get rejected from NYU. Now if you didn't check out the previous video, this student founded a company worth $50 million today. Yet she was rejected. Yes, she was accepted to Fordham and UMiami, but SDSU rejected her. She was accepted to Northeastern and Drexel and the new school, but waitlisted from Emerson, rejected from Syracuse, and rejected from Tulane. Maybe there was something I'm missing from her application, but I don't understand these results at all. Like, what? Here's what a solid average college application looks like. Starting with the statistics, she had a 3.67 unweighted GPA, an 1120 SAT score, and took a total of 2 AP courses, AP Language and AP Psychology. Her intended major is advertising. As for the extracurriculars that she was a part of, she wrote and published a 100,000-word original work online. She had a part-time job from 10th to 12th grade. She was also a volunteer election judge and played travel softball in 9th grade. As for the universities that she applied to the University of Maryland, the University of Connecticut, the University of Pittsburgh, Drexel University, Penn State, and Syracuse University. She was rejected from the University of Maryland, waitlisted at the University of Connecticut. She was rejected from the University of Pittsburgh. She was accepted to Drexel, accepted to Penn State, and accepted to Syracuse. Now, it isn't every day that you see someone write a 100,000-word original work online. Nonetheless, this is still a pretty average application that you see. She worked hard in school, a 3.67 GPA is nothing to laugh at, she had some solid extracurriculars, and she applied to the state schools that were most appealing for her. Overall, looks like a very successful, solid application cycle for the student, and I hope that gives you a better view of what the average college application cycle might look like for students like this.